You have some other resources on the web as well. What about the Sober Mindset miniseries?
I did a free workshop series, and it's really just all about the mindset, because what I have learned too, not only in mine, but helping people with coaching them, there's a real limiting belief that people have. And anybody can stop drinking alcohol, right? And getting sober and whatnot, but it's pushing past those limiting beliefs of that you do deserve more, that you're not just, this isn't just who you are. This is not just like, oh, well, that's just me. Fuck it. Let's continue drinking. It's like, no, why do you feel that way?
Yeah.
Or why? And it goes back to ego work too. It's like, well, why do you feel like you can control it when all that happens is you just keep going back to the same spot? Like, what about that is there? So those workshops really kind of dive in, and two, there's one in there, because as I said, there's two, but it works too on like the whole sober is not boring. Like, people think when they enter in sobriety that it's just going to be a snooze fest.
Right. When and I did too. I was terrified.
I did too.
And then looking back, was I actually having fun?
No,
I mean, there was a portion of time when it was still fun and party like, but without fail, it turns into misery. For me, at least, it got to the point where it was misery drinking, as I like to call it. But yes, of course, never had more fun in my life since I've gotten sober.
Yeah, and here's the thing. It takes some time.
Of
and
course.
That's a mindset that you're
Yes.
stuck in, because you are continuing being like, I can't have this. I can't have this. I can't have this. It's like, well, if you keep telling yourself you can't, then obviously you're going to be stuck in a sober or a boring mindset. And then here's another thing. It's boring to you because you are not chasing chaos anymore. I cannot say that enough.
So true.
So many people have been born into chaotic situations, whatever the case may be.
God, that's so true.
Majority of people have a lot of emotional trauma. Trauma is trauma, however which way of the spectrum it goes for you. But when you're used to living in a chaotic environment, you feel comfortable in that. You could actually even switch from living into a chaotic work environment and then entering in a chaotic or a living environment, entering into a chaotic work environment. So your nervous system is fucked up all the time.
Yes.
So what happens is when you get sober, you're stopping the cycle. It doesn't feel normal to you because you're not going on an apologies tour. You're not sitting there for 3 days vomiting on yourself, wondering who you need to go say sorry to, what did you do, who did you text, who did you have sex with, where is your car, A, B, C,
all of the above.
All of the above. You know what I mean? So it's just like, and then your body gets back to normal. So like that boringness really comes out because it's like, it's an uncomfortable feeling because you are not chasing the chaos anymore.
It factors into that self-sabotage mentality as well. When things do quiet down and you have this sense of calmness and contentment, and those thoughts start to, how can I fuck shit up? What can I go fuck up today? You know, that self-sabotage mentality.
And then it goes back to the mindset of, why do you think that you're not good enough to live chaos free and live in a state of calm being?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not naive to it, where I know this takes a lot of work. A lot of work. And if there is one thing I can suggest to anybody, it's meditate as soon as possible. Don't sooner that practice comes into your life, the better you will be in the long run. And that really, really helps. Because I was a person who chased a lot of chaos.
Same, for sure. I was that self-saboteur.
Yes.
Always.
Yes. So those mindsets or those workshops really, really go with the whole mindset shifting, because it is a mindset shift if you decide to start working on it.
You mentioned meditation. What other tangible resources or takeaways would you suggest to listeners?
Meditation for sure. And I'm going to share, your brain is never going to be quiet. That is when you're dead. Okay. So like, because I think people
Yeah.
have this, like, they think that you have to sit there in complete silence. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you can sit there for 5 minutes, if you're a beginner, sit there for 5 minutes. There's tons of meditation, free ones on YouTube. Then move yourself up to 10 minutes. There's so many apps nowadays too that
Endless apps.
endless. I the Headspace one. I mean, shit, they even have Headspace now on Netflix that you can sit it there and
No
just
way.
put it. Yes,
I
they
didn't know
have.
this.
Yes. So, and there's one too they just came out with. I think it's supposed to help you sleep. And then it's Calm. So then Calm.
Yeah.
So you can start for free because that Headspace and the Calm you have to pay for after like a 10-day free trial or something. So, but YouTube it's free.
Yes.
Another thing, gratitude. The sooner you start living in gratitude, that is going to rewire your brain as well to start shifting your perspective. I mean, I can't even tell you now how many times I have legit cried on, like, if my husband and I have gone somewhere just to eat on like a Saturday beautiful afternoon where I'm like, oh, it feels so nice not to be hungover.
Yeah.
I'm serious. And this is 10 years later. Like you have to look for small little wins. It's going to keep adding up. And that's another thing that you can do for free. Another one that I have worked. So I have to say it's probably those are probably my top three, like,
great ones.
Tools.
Yeah.
The third one is personal development. And here's the thing, because I'm writing a book. I have 2 more days and I have to turn it in.
Wow.
I am a fan of Quit Lit. However, you need to be reading something more than that, because there's other avenues in your life you have to start working on besides just the act of quitting drinking. And I have been like that since day one. I probably only read like 1 to 2 Quit Lit books a year since I've quit drinking. Like I don't sit there and binge it.
Yeah.
Because what happens to you at the end of the day, and I've said this on my podcast and I'm going to say it on your podcast, stop listening to 25 sober podcasts.
Yes.
Stop reading 5 Quit Lit books in a day.
Yes.
Stop it. Stop going to 25 meetings in a day. Because what is going to happen is at the end of the day, you are going to be so fucking burnt out, because then you have to deal with your own shit.
Right.
And then that leads into what I have always called the recovery burnout. It will lead you into a burnout and overwhelm. And then you're going to be like, well, Nate said this, but Courtney said this.
Yes.
What do I do? You know, I just find it very important nowadays, because since everything is so accessible and you have these options, which is so wonderful, you have to protect your energy and not overwhelm yourself, because overwhelm is very easy in this process.
And we are alcoholics after all. So it's like
yes,
more.
Yeah.
And then that's a great point about the sort of recovery exhaustion, but it's also like, do we want to be well-rounded? You know, if you're going to the gym to work on your fitness, are you only doing biceps every day? No, you want to sort of work on a bit of everything. And this, my recovery and sobriety is not the only aspect of my personality or the only thing that I want to learn about or work on or become better with or stronger with. So yeah, couldn't agree more.
100%. That's why I waited too. Like with the coaching aspect, I waited until I was 6-ish years sober, after 6-7 years, because I was like, I need to work on me. And it like started coming up in year 3. And I was like, no, I still want to work on me. Like, I'm not ready to take on others.
Smart.
You know, like there's stuff that I have to work on, and I don't want to, you know, I want that. I wanted that for me, and I protected that.
Very smart. So tell us about the book. Is it more of a memoir style or self-help or both, or what can we expect?
So it's coaching a person through their first 90 days of sobriety.
Amazing.
There is stuff that I've put in, a little bit about me. I really, when talking with my editor, we went back and forth because I just don't feel like there's enough of this. In the book, there's also going to be it's a book and a workbook, so it has pages for you. I give you homework to do.
Love that.
But it's really because that's the thing. It's like I'm sure you hear this too. It's like, you get the question, how did you stay sober? How do I stay sober? How do I stop this? I give you homework where we're getting down into that, where you're going to get deep and give you suggestions of ways to support. Like, I'm almost like your Google in this one book, like, honestly, because
Perfect.
I have that too. It's like, well, how do I start off with getting sober? It's like, okay, well, first you talk to a doctor.
Yeah.
Because you need to, when it comes to detox, because alcohol
Very
is
dangerous.
deadly.
Yes.
It's deadly to detox. And then once you get that settled, then you stop drinking one day at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like people want this like magical answer, and there's not. It's being gentle. There's so much. You have to be gentle with yourself, and you have to know that this is a process, that your day 7 is not going to look like Sally's day 7.
Yeah.
Sally might be riding the pink cloud that you never experienced. Did you experience the pink cloud? I didn't.
I did. Yes.
Oh, bless you.
Yeah, I did.
How was it?
It was really good. It was pink and cloudy. No, I think I did. Yeah, for 3 or 4 months at least.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
It was nice.
Yeah.
But then it's like, it almost is this, which I say a lot of times about inpatient treatment as well. It's almost like this false sense of security where, you're protected. You're inside these 4 walls. And now the true test is, because I did go to inpatient treatment as well, the true test, how do you take this information and use it in the real world? And, I lived alone as well when I left inpatient treatment. So, going home and when nobody's looking, would anyone know?
Yeah.
So it was definitely, I embraced it because, I was working a AA program too at the time. So, it's embrace the pink cloud. So I did. But then it was sort of like how when you get home from vacation, there's like this after vacation depression sort of, where it's like back to the real world. That's what it felt like after the pink cloud, but intense.
Yeah, and then that's the thing too. Then it's just like, but then people think like, well, what the fuck is wrong with me? And that's the whole thing. Nothing's wrong with you. Again, you cannot compare your journey to Sally's. Like you cannot. But what we all need to do as a community together, and anybody who has gone through the recovery process, is to support one another. No matter how you got there, no matter what avenue you use, just to support and know that it is hard. So if you do have a relapse or a bump in the road, it's okay. But it's time to get back on.
So what's the book called? When can we find it? Where can we find it?
So we don't have a title confirmed yet. Okay. But
Working
Sober
title.
Vibes. Yeah. So we're still in the process of the title and the cover, but it will be out if all things go right, because I was sent an outline from when I turned my book in, and then there's a whole process. So we are looking at July 25th of 2023, and you'll be able to find it on Amazon, and then I think Barnes and Nobles, and then of course I'll have it on my website.
Courtney, what are some parting words for our listeners who may still be struggling?
Oh, I get choked up all the time, because this does come to a thing. And, I had actually somebody send me a really kind email before I jumped on this podcast. And I know you can relate to this, because this is why people continue to speak about this and continue to have shows and social media followings with the community of sobriety and recovery. If you are struggling out there, just you're worth the fight. You're worth the fight. And that's what it has to come. You have to believe so deep in your soul that you are worth it, and that it will get better. and there's people around there who love you and reach out. And even if it's to Nate or myself on social media, send an email. There's always somebody willing to sit there and listen to you and be an ear, and just know that you're worth it.
Well said.
Thank you.
Courtney Anderson, host of the Sober Vibes podcast, and my new friend.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time today. It was so fun.
Thank you for having me on. And then we're going to have you on the Sober Vibes podcast in 2023.
Yay.
Yes.
Thank you so much for listening today, friends. Hopefully you heard something that resonates with you. And if we help just one person, our job is done. Make sure you check today's show notes for all the information discussed in the episode and how to connect with our guest. And as always, check us out at thesobrietydiaries.com, youtube.com/Nate Kelly, and on Instagram at the Sobriety Diaries Pod. Please head over to Apple Podcasts and rate and review the show, friends. It truly helps other people to find the show, and in turn, we can help more people. Until next Wednesday, try your best not to drink and be good to yourselves. Bye, everyone.